Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30, and my name is Zon Eastis, and I will call this meeting of the Guilford Selectboard to order on Monday, June 24th. And we'll start first with the rules of procedure.
All right. The Select Board is required by law, conducts meetings in accordance with Vermont Open Meeting Law 1 V.S.A. 310 to 314, except as provided in Section 313 of that title. At these meetings, the public must be afforded reasonable opportunity to give its opinion on matters considered by the Select Board, so long as order is maintained. Such public comment is subject to the reasonable rules established by the Select Board.
Hang on just a second.
Sorry, I think I did that.
It's okay. I'm used to that, so I can keep going. 1 V.S.A. 312H, it's kind of like having an IFB here again. While the law clearly establishes the right of public participation, that right is not without limits. The statute reads, at an open meeting, the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to express its opinion on matters considered by the public body during the meeting. As long as order is maintained, public comment shall be subject to reasonable rules established by the chairperson. There we go.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chair. Thanks very much. All right, next on the agenda is changes to the agenda order, and there will be a couple tonight. Because of we need to consider a couple of issues in the updates and reports. We're going to switch Section 6 with Section 7. All right, just switch them around. So we'll do updates and reports first. And I'm glad to see both Sarah and Linda are here so they can take care of that. And then we will delete from the agenda section or 9C, which is a consideration of late filing fee for homestead declarations. There's no discussion for us to have about that this evening. So we'll just take that off for now. All right. According to the new policy that the board voted at its last meeting, the rules of procedure, we will now, in accordance with that policy, we will now be having public comment at this point in the meeting for several minutes, 10 minutes, and then we will also have another section at the end of the meeting for public comment. And there will be no comment from the public during the meeting while the board is taking care of the town's business. So we'll open it up now to anyone who has a public comment or a community announcement at this point.
Okay, so Don McLean has, we have scheduled him for a community comment. So Don, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, tonight I'm letting everybody know that Guilford will be celebrating Independence Day on actual 4th of July, Thursday, in Guilford Center. It's also a commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the founding of Broadbrook Grange in 1874. The day, the celebration goes from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's being billed as a picnic, in keeping with the old-fashioned idea that that's how organizations and communities used to celebrate such occasions. So starting at 11 a.m. up at the Guilford Center Meeting House, there will be a short ceremony with the reading of the Declaration of Independence and some welcomes and presentations. And then everyone will walk with musical accompaniment down to the Broadbrook Community Center. There will also be things available happening at the library, and at the Playscape, the Recreation Commission will be having games for kids, although anyone of any age is welcome to come and play those games. At the Broadbrook Community Center, the lunch, which you may bring your own picnic, but the official lunch is a barbecue being sold by Guilford Country Store. The menu for that, by the way, is on the Broadbrook Community Center website. There will also be several nonprofit organizations will be distributing free and or for donation watermelon drinks, popsicles from the Guilford Library. I think that's worth mentioning. And strawberry shortcake. In keeping with the tradition of the Grange over many decades, having bingo at the Guilford Fair, there will be a bingo game in the dining room. There will also be the ongoing art and poetry show upstairs that people may not have seen yet and can look at. There's going to be a display of historic flags at the meeting house. There's also going to be a display on the history of the Grange at the Brattleboro Community Center. There is going to be an opportunity to have your photo taken with your family and some music and all sorts of other wonderful activities. So that's Thursday, July 4th, starting at 11 a.m. and going until 2 p.m. Hope to see everyone there.
Thank you very much, Don.
All right, does anyone else in the community have a comment they'd like to make about anything at this point? Any item that's on the agenda or anything that's on your mind? Okay, thanks. We'll move ahead. There will be another moment for public comment toward the end of the meeting. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. We need to approve the minutes of June the 10th. I'd accept a motion.
So moved.
Thanks, Michael. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Chip. Is there any discussion? All right, since we're all in the room, we can simply say aye if we approve. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
I don't think anyone is opposed, and I don't think there were any abstentions. Okay, good. Then we'll move on to updates. We're going to switch updates and reports with the finance actions. So let's talk first with Erica.
Hello, everybody. So I have a lot going on, and this past week, VLCT I've been working with VLCT on the new amendment to the open meeting law. It's a permanent amendment to open meeting law, and there's a lot of little pieces to it, but it seems like the biggest piece is that all our commissions and committees are going to have to record their meetings, either by just a voice recording or by video, and post those to the town website. The videos only need to be posted for 30 days after the minutes of those meetings are approved, but that's going to be a big change for a lot of our committees and commissions. So I'm going to be working with them to make it happen by July 1st. So I'll be typing up guidance and instructions about how to record your Zoom meetings or other ways to do it if you don't have Zoom. Like VLCT suggests you do it on their phone if they need to. And then
You mean I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, I guess I did mean to interrupt. A voice memo,
Yeah,
for instance,
exactly.
of just,
Yeah.
and then you can post that memo to the town website?
I'll figure it out.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it'll probably be an MP3 file,
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
And then with the committees themselves, designate somebody to do that, like on a per committee, per commission
I
basis.
hope we'll have to see how that works.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be whoever's doing the minutes.
Yeah.
Probably, so. Yeah, we'll have guidance soon. VLCT hasn't issued their full guidance yet. I do have a kind of short thing that I shared with you all, but they
Yeah.
promised to have it
Yeah.
out by the 1st. So I'm sure they fielded a lot of questions from me about it already. So
Yeah, it's a big job.
yeah,
Big step up.
Yes, it is. We have our Wyndham County Sheriff Contract Committee meeting tomorrow night. We met 2 weeks ago after the last select board meeting, and Mark Anderson came to answer some questions that the committee had. The survey is still up through midnight tonight, so if you haven't answered our survey about law enforcement in Guilford, your time is growing short. Please do that if you haven't already. And the committee will look at all that data and hopefully be making a decision about our recommendation soon. Let's see. So I have a budget item to report, I guess. I would like to ask the select board to approve paying for a sign. We were able to have the library sign, was refurbished.
I saw that, it looks great.
Yeah, it was refurbished.
Man, it needed
happened.
it.
It happened very quickly. Yes. So this falls under the unanticipated expense for sure. But the trustees contacted me just a little bit over a month ago about Kathy's not retirement but commencement celebration, which happened on Saturday, and said, "Can we please get this sign fixed by then?" And it was able to be done by a really wonderful sign painter who used he hand painted the sign. If you guys haven't seen it, it's really nice. And he refurbished it rather than create a new one, so that was really nice. But that is, I don't have the exact number, it's $1,200 about $1,205 or something like that. So I would like to pay for that out of the general reserve fund.
Would you like us to take action now? I think that would be the
Does
thing
that
to.
make sense, or does that,
Yeah, we need
Danny,
to get
is
it.
that how we do it normally?
Yeah,
We'll put
So they
it-
have to do a separate motion other than just?
yes.
Yes, okay. Yes,
I think we should consider it, and then, that's me. Let's see, I see that James Hyman, his hand is in there.
Thank you.
Let's see, so there's a request from Erica that the select board approve using general reserve fund dollars to pay for the sign painting of the library, about $1,200.
And I can tell you that there is, that fund has $300,121.26 in it.
Okay, so there are adequate funds
There
in
are
the
adequate
reserve.
funds.
Okay, let's,
Can I just ask one question?
first let's get a
Sure.
motion on the floor. So anybody interested to,
I would move that.
all right, second?
Second,
Thanks, Michael. Now, question.
does this require any advance warning? Or can this,
You mean,
or, yeah, 48 hours or posted on the bridge?
oh, no, I don't, no, for us to consider that, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think it's considered, I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah,
It's
so
un-
Danny has a similar thing in his
We're gonna do-
update, so,
It's an unanticipated, unexpected expense.
yeah. And it's within the procurement policy that both Danny and I could do these purchases on our own, but because it's unanticipated and we need to draw from the reserves, that's why we're.
The question isn't whether to do it or not, the question is where do we draw the funds from? And our options are to find money inside the budget or to use the general reserve. I think that would be the question. Okay. So, I think that, I think we can go ahead. Any other conversation? All right, all those in favor of using the reserve to pay for this painting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Then we'll do
And it was
Danny's.
such a nice way to honor Kathy by refurbishing
yeah.
the sign on the library that really needed it. And I could say parenthetically, I hope that we
Yes.
can have a sign for our town office, whether,
It's the same situation as coming.
Yes, well, that will be in the next fiscal year. so-
okay.
Plus, it needed to keep up with the mailboxes at that corner. Have you seen those? They're brilliant. On the corner of Carpenter and Guilford Center. So whoever crafted that was unbelievable. A lot of thought went into that. It's probably the best looking mailboxes in Vermont. I'm not kidding.
Great. All right, what else?
Well, I have 1.5, well, 2 other things. On Friday of last week, I attended a meeting at the Wyndham County Sheriff's Office about regional policing. This is Sheriff Anderson's pet project for the last few years. and he's making some headway slowly. There needs to be a change in state law for this to really, really happen, but he's taking the steps to make that happen. We signed in the fall, remember, a letter
Yes.
of support for the
Yes.
program.
Interesting.
That's basically where it stands still. There were many more people representing more towns at this meeting than the one I went to a year ago. And he feels encouraged that it's getting closer. It won't be for this fiscal year certainly, but possibly fiscal year 26. There are a lot of options that I don't need to go into right now, but you know, it could be per capita pricing, which is nice, and that's how the animal control officer program works. We also talked about the animal control officer program, and there's one of them currently, and she has been working a lot of hours. So their hourly versus per capita rate might go up a little bit for the next contract year.
Anything else?
That is my report.
Do you want to talk about hires?
Do we have that on the agenda somewhere else?
Yeah, I think we
We
do.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, we do, that's right.
I do want to talk about
Yeah,
that. but
we'll talk
do it
about that
later.
later. Good,
Yes,
thanks very much. Okay, we'll move over then to Highway Commissioner Dan.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I know we people know that we've had some pretty rough storms. We fared out pretty good. We didn't have much damage. We too got some, the rain potholed up some roads, so we gotta get a couple days worth of grading to do. Next, probably around Wednesday. We've been mowing roadsides, doing some ditching, doing some culvert work, just trying to get our regular routine maintenance done. We'll be doing a lot of roadside ditching from the Weathered Hollow Bridge all the way to Fitch Road that needs it, and then we gotta start where the guardrails are, we got a berm built underneath them, so we gotta get it so the water will drain off. So we'll be spending a lot of time on doing that. One of the things that, I got my big electronic signs out that we use a lot. One of them, actually I took them up this spring because they ran a special for tuning them up, and they go through them and tell you what's wrong with them. And well, one of them we had to put a lot of money into it, and the repair bill on that's just a little under $3,300. And I don't want to, because if I pull that money out of my sign and post account, it's going to put that account way, way over.
Yes, I remember.
So I would like to pull the repair bill for that, because it's an unexpected expense, out of our highway surplus, which we have $653,000 in it, and I'd like to pull that money to pay for that repair on that sign from there.
How much is that repair again today?
That was like 32, I don't have, it was like $3,292 and change or something.
Okay. Certainly below the threshold of, yeah, okay.
But anyways, I'd like to pull that, because it was an unforeseen expense, and them signs we bought back, well, the town, it was back when Vermont Emergency Management was in business. And to replace one of them big electronic signs right now, you're looking at $30,000. We bought two for like $18,000 when we bought them. So we got a pretty good deal on them, but they do require maintenance. So, but they work great because they stick them out, pre-warn the people, and you know, they come in pretty handy. We put them up for town meeting day, any other functions around town, so. But it just, one of them, we had to put quite a bit of money in it. They had to make 3 new cards for it, because they're LED, and when they go kaput, they go kaput, so. Yeah.
So we should address that right now.
Yeah.
All right, so the request is that we would, the question is, we would use the highway reserve to pay a $3,200 bill rather than find it inside the budget this year for this particular unanticipated cost. Could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Sara. Is there any discussion here?
And we've been going around for the last week, we've been going around cutting a lot of dead trees around town. And hopefully I'll get back to doing, I got the bucket truck scheduled for Thursday to do some more, so.
Okay, we've got to vote on this yet still, here just a second.
Yeah. Well, I just give you, finish up my update.
Okay, yeah, good. No, let's go ahead and finish this and then we'll get right to you. So is there any discussion about this motion?
I think it's a safety issue, so it's good to have. It gives drivers plenty of warning and a lot more heads up than just a minute works, road work ahead sign that people could easily miss.
And I'll just say that we, to your question earlier, Michael, what we're doing here is, again, I'll say it one more time, we're making a decision to authorize our staff where to draw these funds from, as opposed to asking them to use them as part of the budget.
Yeah.
So all those in favor of this, of Dan's request, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, Dan, back to your.
That was the
Oh,
tree
okay.
cutting part was the end of it.
I had a question. Did we have many trees down in Guilford from the Thursday night storm?
2 little limbs and that was it.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
we've actually fared out pretty good compared to some other towns up north.
Yeah, there were power outages and trees down across
Cause
the
I know
road.
Thursday we had an inch of rain in my rain gauge, Friday morning we had another inch Friday. And then Saturday we had another inch, so over the 3 days, we've had 3 inches of rain off and on, so. But the roads have, actually they've held up really
Yeah,
good this year.
Really good.
Okay, great.
Good, just 2 more questions, Danny?
Sure.
Just remind us the paving for this summer,
The
where and
And the
when?
paving is gonna go on Weathered Hollow Road. It's going from Timmy Drive, where we left off last year, to the Mass line. It's a mile and a half.
Oh.
And probably the next board, I think it's scheduled for the next board meeting. We'll be doing paving bids.
Yep, July 8th.
And I was just also wondering, Stage Road came up a meeting ago, that significant work was planned, is that still on the
We
agenda?
got, we just got, he's writing up the RFP now for it. On the backside of the hill, we're gonna do half the stone line ditching down there. There's gonna be replacement of 4 2-foot culverts. Where it washed during the last winter, we're gonna try to get that section taken care of first. And then,
You want to split that
afterwards.
work into 2 years, right? Because it's a lot.
we're gonna split it in one, because our cut this year for stone line ditch is 21,000. So that'll eat up pretty much all that, just in that one section.
So you're putting that out to bid
Yes.
for outside help to do that?
Outside help, yeah. Just like we did Sweet Pond and,
Yep.
and Cemetery Hill and Bukowski Road and Campbell Road.
Thank you.
Can I ask Dan a question?
No, I'm sorry. You missed there's time for public comment at the end of the meeting tonight. The select board's gonna, you can talk to them afterwards. Thanks a lot, yeah. Okay, let's see. Are you done, Dan? Thanks very much.
As long as you guys are all.
Yeah,
Here we're good.
yeah, all right. Let's move ahead then. Sarah Coffey's here tonight, our state representative. Yeah, why don't you slide up? Come up and sit. Get you on the camera.
We'll just switch chairs. Ah, these roll. Maybe they roll. Right, is that right? And I can leave it up here for the next person. We're just,
That's
there we
good.
go. Sorry to have my back. So maybe I'll go like this. Is that
Sure.
okay? So I can sort of see people. So hi everyone. Thanks
Hi,
for
Sarah.
making time on your agenda for me tonight. This has been kind of an annual tradition since I was elected that I like to come and share some legislative updates with the select board, kind of overview, but more specifically things that kind of affect our towns and our municipal work that you do. So, and first I was wanting to start with a thank you all, and for anyone watching or folks here, people get in touch with me ahead of the session and during the session, and it really, that level of engagement really helps me do my work better, and so I really always appreciate it, and it's really been an honor doing this work and over the last 6 years. And so, as most of you know, the legislative session, it goes from early January, the first Wednesday in January to the middle of May. And we adjourned this year in the wee hours of the night on May 11th. And we went back a week ago today to do our final business, which was for a special session, which was scheduled to for a special veto session to take up bills that the governor had vetoed for a vote. And so I wanted just to share some of those updates with you, and just to remind folks of where we started, and maybe share with you where we started with. It was a challenging session this year for many reasons. We were grappling with the end of the federal pandemic era funding. We got the December 1st letter, which for people who are not familiar with that terminology, the December 1st letter is a letter that comes from the tax commissioner that looks at, anticipates what education school budgets are going to be and what the property tax rate is going to be. And in that letter, they were anticipating a 20% property tax increase, which is a really big increase, to say the least. And that was due to a $250 million anticipated increase over last year's school budgets. So since that time, and I can talk more about it, but we did get that down to 13.8%. And there's a lot of complexity there, which I'm happy to share if people want to get into that. So we were also dealing with the long-term effects of the pandemic, supply chain issues, costs of labor and supplies, but also dealing with like student health and mental health issues in our schools, and a backlog in our courts. And we are still dealing, for many years we know about our housing crisis in Vermont. It's a lack of affordable housing and middle income housing, but also that and how that relates to people who are grappling with homelessness. And we were coming off of a record-breaking year in opioid overdose deaths. And of course, the impact of the 2023 historic flooding, which happened in July, and then more in December. So it was kind of a big way to start the session. But in spite of those challenges, I was really so grateful for the way that we worked over the 18 weeks together to really get some really great accomplishments. And so much of the time, we pass legislation in the House on unanimous voice votes. That we don't hear enough about that. That is the norm. And this year that was true too, with the exception of with 7 bills that were more controversial, or where there were differences of opinion, I should say. So we really focused on addressing affordability, strengthening our economy, protecting our communities from future flooding, investing in housing, and building a bright and prosperous future for all Vermonters, not just the select few. We passed bills to improve flood safety by protecting our river corridors, and modernizing Act 250 as we plan for greater density in our smart growth areas so that we can put housing and business development where we want it while protecting our natural resources and reducing sprawl. We updated our renewable energy standard to ensure that that the energy Vermonters use will be 100% clean by 2035, which will put us on track to be one of the first states whose energy will be fully decarbonized. And a fun fact here is the more we move to renewables, the more affordable, and it brings down our the cost of energy. Vermont right now enjoys one of the lowest electricity rates in the Northeast because of that. And we passed one of the most comprehensive data privacy bills in the country, which was designed to protect Vermont consumers from having their data used in inappropriate and harmful ways. And there's much more. However, I would say the data privacy bill was the one bill that we were not able to override the governor's veto on it. We didn't have the votes in the Senate, which is really too bad, because I felt it was one of the most important pieces of legislation that we passed this year. So I'm going to trot through a couple of things right now. I have more details if you need them, but just about things that will affect the select board and our town and our municipality and municipal government. You've already talked. I was going to talk about the updates to open meeting law, and Erica shared that with you. Just to add a little bit, there are 2 kinds. The legislation made a differentiation between advisory bodies and non-advisory bodies. So things like garden clubs and things like that do not need to be recorded, and but other things do. So I won't go into that because Erica is clearly on top of it. We also passed H 875, which is a municipal ethics bill, which I think will really help a lot of our towns, including our town, because it will really create a uniform code of ethics that most municipal officers, all of you, will need to follow. But our Guilford is already, has adopted VLCT's conflict of interest policy, which is kind of a model policy. But what this legislation will also do, it will enable select boards to have a backstop with the ethics commission. So if you have questions about our code of ethics, like that has not really existed as a resource to select boards. So I was very enthusiastic, and I actually conferred with a few of you to find out what you thought about that bill. S159 is a bill that will be looking at county and regional government study. Because the small scale of our communities makes some things really challenging. Like you hear talk about things like law enforcement, animal control, watershed protection, all of that work. Vermont is unique in that we don't have county government, and we learned about that when the pandemic and with the COVID relief funding, most of that was designed to go to county government. And thanks to Senator Leahy, we were able to change that. But I think there's some challenges that are capacity issues and challenges that face our small towns, and this hopefully will help do some of that. We passed S213, the Flood Safety Act, which is after this past year's flooding was so clear why it was needed, and it also made many things uniform, including how we regulate what type of development occurs in our river corridors. So that previously those decisions have been made at the town by town level, and when you think about the way that a watershed works, it doesn't, it's connected to, towns are connected, so it really needed to come up to the state level. Housing, I won't go into a lot of this, but we did a lot on housing this year for municipalities in the budget. A lot of it was with general, and a lot of it came through the budget. And I'm not for people who want really in-depth, I have a final and end of session report that goes into much more detail that is available by email, and there's a link on my legislative Facebook page, and it will soon be up on my website. But we did a lot, last year with town Guilford, not so much, but we see it in Brattleboro, which I also think is our town. A lot of us do our food shopping there, work there, our kids take lessons there. And we're dealing with a homelessness crisis, and so a lot of the funding that we're doing made significant changes to these programs. There was some cuts, but there's also some more structure put in around the programs, which are really entitlement programs. So I won't go into the detail on that, but we found a really good balance, I think, that we are all very happy about. Last, I want to touch on two final things. Our town's been talking a lot about public safety, hearing the conversation we talked about at town meeting, and also the follow-up that's been going on, and the legislature's been focusing on public safety too. One of the things that has led to some of the challenges that our smaller towns are facing is there's a backlog in our courts, and that a lot of that is due to being under-resourced. So we meet pretty regularly, the Windham County delegation, with the county courts, and that includes it's a really wonderful perspective to hear from the judges and the attorneys, and really there's been under-resourced, so there's a huge backlog that was there before the pandemic hit. So we put some investments in there. We also, we know that restorative justice and community justice centers are key also to getting people to divert the court system, speed it up, and make amends, and also to get support for people to get the support that they need. We also passed a retail theft bill because, I don't know about you, but you've been probably reading in the local paper about what has been going on in Brattleboro with retail theft. We've also, so that'll make it a little bit more tough on crime, of what's going on, but also in Guilford, people were having their cars broken into, and previously that was not against the law. So that we passed a bill that addressed that. And two last things, it's, Act 250 has been a topic for us over the last 6 years and longer. But we really made some really good strides in the bill, H687. And I think that, our town doesn't have land use regulation. And I know, the planning commission is potentially looking at some of that. I don't want to say what the planning commission is doing, but, because we don't have any land use regulation, any project that's done in Guilford automatically, for the most part, will trigger an Act 250 permit, which can be onerous. So what this bill does is that we're in village centers and in downtowns and in places where there is some zoning, that it makes it easier for there to be development for housing and businesses and the kind of development that we want to see in the right places. And I know that our regional planning commissions are going to be doing a lot of work with our towns on that, and I'll kind of let them work with all of you to kind of translate some of that work. And then my favorite topic, transportation. So it was nice to follow Danny in his report. But this year I'm really so proud. Last year I came and I brought a big funding grant opportunity to the meeting, to the select board, and I shared it with Erica. Where's the money? I'm so happy to see Erica is really going after some of these grants, which is really exciting. But also what we did this year in the transportation bill was we increased the amount of money going to town highway aid. We increased the funding and we increased the funding formula, because we know with all these supply chain issues and the increased costs in labor, we saw an increase in the state's budget for that we thought it was really only fair to increase that same for the town, because the town is grappling with the same exact challenges. And we were able to do some very detailed, but also kind of work to kind of reset the formula so that it'll be increased moving forward too. We also increased the money for our one of our bridge programs, which you hear folks talk about culverts. Large culverts are considered bridges too. So because if it's one of these larger 6-foot culverts, it's considered a bridge because it's like a larger structure. So there'll be more money there, and in particular that's important as communities are really doing work to prepare and become more resilient with regard to flooding. But some other fun things that we did was we're working on, I know that Guilford is looking at traffic calming, how to slow down the speed of traffic. And I know that when I've knocked on my doors and I've talked to neighbors, I hear about it, whether it's on Weatherhead Hollow, whether it's, on Guilford Center Road and in Algiers. And I'm excited that there's a group that's looking at that there might be a potential demonstration project potentially, right? But also we're trying to change. We've been working on changing, updating the state road standards with an emphasis on complete street principles, which means that there's room for more when possible, more room for walking and biking. Doesn't necessarily mean building sidewalks, but it's just like to be able to do that, and also ways that make it easier for communities to slow down traffic. One thing that I learned is you can very easily, the select board can put up a sign with a lower speed limit, but it really doesn't have any impact unless you have enforcement of that. So those things all work together. So the select board has control of speed limits on our municipally owned roads, and the state has them on the state-owned roads like Route 5. And sometimes there's tension on the state-owned roads because we want to slow. Many of our state highways go through our village centers, like what in Guilford the experience is. And so we tried to make it so that towns would have a little bit more leverage to be able to slow down traffic there. So I hope I did this in under 8 minutes, but anyway, I think that is all I have to offer today. There's a lot more that we did this session, and I'm happy to take questions from the select board if you have any, and always am very eager to connect you with people and resources as you do your work.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Sara?
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank
Well,
you,
I
Sara,
appreciate
for
that.
the last 6 years of
Yeah,
service.
the connections that you have built have really helped our community for sure, so it's really great.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
love seeing Guilford's name on all, I was the lead sponsor of Better Places, and it's so great to see that Guilford got one of those grants down at the pavilion. So it's really wonderful when we see, part of it's about getting information to the community, right? To know that the opportunities exist. So I just want to commend Erica for really digging into a lot of these things with the transportation related space, and there's more work to be done for sure. And we hear at the small scale of our communities makes it challenging for things like public transportation, and how we can find some creative solutions to that is important. So thank you all for all that you do for our town. Yeah.
But Sarah, you brought a really warm and engaging tone to your work with this community. I mean, and really being receptive to every person who's come to you with concern. And I just really appreciate that. I think it's put Guilford on the map in a slightly different way, just that we have this connection, Guilford and Vernon. You've brought Guilford and Vernon closer together as well. And I really have appreciated that form of, that pathway that you've created.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it does take a village, though. It's a great community that we live in. We're very lucky, and it's been really an honor and just fun to put a spotlight on this community. So, and just so you know, Guilford is very well respected and regarded for all the work that's done way outside of me, but just the things that we're able to accomplish in this community. Guilford has a really great reputation, as the Brattleboro Community Center got that award at the Historic Preservation Conference. This is one of many things that the community has been doing. It's great. So it's a pleasure. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. How about I leave this up here for the next person? I warmed it up.
Well, Linda, next for the Conservation Commission update.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hi, Linda.
I have a little handout for the select board. So I'm here to discuss two things. The first is to put forth a name and to nominate someone to fill our currently vacant commissioner position. And so this pertains to the second item, which is the conservation fund. But I'd like to start by putting forth the name of Joshua Farr to fill our vacancy. Joshua lives on Sweet Pond Road. He's the director of the Insight Photography program in town. He read about our work in the town report and approached us, said he was interested in seeing whether he could contribute to our work, and attended meetings. And he had a lot of the qualities that we were looking for. We had a whole process for trying to identify and sweet talk people into joining us. And he checked off so many of the qualities that we were looking for in filling out the various skills, talents, and interests that would make our commission work stronger. So, for instance, he's very interested and has a lot of experience in trail building and trail management. He manages his own woodlot on Sweet Pond. It's in current use. He's very interested in invasives and other conservation initiatives. And he brings a set of executive and management and then design and printing and publishing skills that are really, really valuable. We've already got him designing the next wildlife corridor sign. So that's like a big plus, and he's not even officially a member yet, but, and also connections to younger residents, which was a very important criteria that we were looking for. So for all those qualities and assets, I'd like to put him forth to nominate him for your approval to appoint him as a commissioner. Yeah.
So do we have to vote on that?
Yes, we do, we need to approve. I think it would be smart if we wait and do it at the next meeting if we're comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you might want to, read up on background or anything, but we were very pleased, and he will continue to work with us regardless. So that's a great thing.
Right.
The second item pertains to the Conservation Fund, which we established recently with funds from the Sweet Pond Fund, the V.S.A. Sweet Pond Fund, which were all publicly contributed money that was sitting in account, presumably for the state to tap for dam repair at Sweet Pond. They never did, and after 8 years of sort of knocking on their door, finally we got permit. Nobody really knew who should sign off, but finally somebody at Forest Parks and Recreation took charge and told us that we could use the fund. So we used them to establish a conservation fund, and a small committee of us developed the guidelines. So for how for what kinds of projects will be considered, and what the process would be for people applying and for a group to evaluate the projects for funding. So that is represented, what I passed around is just the table of contents, so that you know that this document includes the legal authority from the state regulations, how we intend the fund to be used, where we hope the fund money will come from, the kind of projects that are eligible, and has a really detailed breakdown of forests, farms, and fields factors, and then the review process. How will we? What's the process for applying for, and what's the process for review and decision about the funding? And and it also includes the application document. So there's a cover sheet, there's an outline for somebody to fill out, and there's a guidelines, instructions how to fill that out. We did not make up these bylaws, on our own. We looked at the best models in the state from Cornwall and Richmond. We worked with Ellie at the town treasurer on the details of fund management and where the money will sit and how it will be invested, if that's an option. So I just want, when I talked to Erica a while back, she said the select board said that you don't need to formally approve these bylaws or guidelines. You said that that the select board wanted to see them, but they didn't feel that they had to formally approve them. We'd be open
I'm
either.
not sure about that.
Oh.
I don't know if you maybe misunderstood what I said.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'll go back to that email. But whatever it is, we wanted you, if not a formal, but at least yes, we think these are okay. We wanted some kind of go ahead with the guidelines as they're drafted. So Erica has the full guidelines with the documents. They were
They're in the folder.
They were
Okay.
disseminated.
So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of them and would take a look at them and see whether there's anything that we need to amend before they're formally adopted and posted on the town website.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that probably what we do need to do is run them through a bit of our own diligence.
Yeah.
To check on things and
Yeah.
make sure that we're everything's in good order.
Yeah.
And so this is great. You're
Yeah.
showing us this, and we'll see what comes next. I think it seems like it should go forward fairly easily.
Great.
I was really impressed, though, at how this evolved from the really Guilford grassroots project. I mean, people here probably all remember, when the dam was pronounced unworthy right before Irene, and the grassroots effort to save Sweet Pond and have the dam rebuilt. And this was, donations of probably no more than $25.
There was one $100 donation.
Oh, right. And so we anticipated, reviewing what Linda said. But, I'm just thinking that everybody watching this meeting might not realize where this new fund came from. This new fund came from many households across Guilford. And the point of it is to support the first steps in property owners wanting to explore conserving their land.
Yeah, and we are very open, the fund is established in a way to accept donations, and people have been asking us for years, can we donate to a conservation fund? Now there is a means for doing that. And I was able to make a donation of an honorarium that I got for sitting in on a state-sanctioned focus group about the next round of conservation regulations,
Oh, I
so.
see, great,
So,
good.
there are all sorts of ways we can get money to add to the fund.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Is the Conservation Commission the one, do you have carte blanche in designing those wildlife corridor signs, or does it have to be in conjunction with state guidelines? Because
The dimensions of the signs
I was meant the
are,
language
Just regular,
for regulation,
regulatory.
yeah,
it is, okay.
So-
I was wondering, like, it just says wildlife corridor.
yeah.
Which is informational. I'd love to see like caution, it's something that sort of drove the point home, like, hey, things are gonna be crossing this road.
Well, there are the pictures.
Yeah, but I was just, but I don't know if he's, I
Yeah.
just read, I'm just throwing out a raw idea. I see the pictures and you understand it, but maybe, or, if you see caution wildlife corridor, then it might drive the point home more that, hey, you need to slow down a little
Isn't the
bit.
fact that it's yellow suggest?
Oh, no, yeah, no, I was
Yeah,
just
oh,
wondering.
okay.
Yeah,
So we designed the signs with Dan's approval. We choose the animals that go
Right,
on the
right.
signs. We're in the process of getting signs for Weatherhead Hollow that will have a goose and a gosling and a turtle.
right.
In honor of the late
Right.
lamented geese.
Yeah.
And,
follow that on the front porch.
And then Dan orders them from his approved vendors, and the road crew installs them at places that we've determined are wildlife are crossing, yeah.
Yeah, you see like caution moose crossing or caution deer crossing. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a universal. And the signs are nice. I actually saw beaver going across where
Yeah.
it says wildlife crossing, but caution just reinforces it a little bit.
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
we'll take that into account, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, any other questions for Linda? Conservation Commission? Thanks very much for your
Thank
work
you.
there. Thanks very much. Okay, folks, we'll move on to the finance part of the meeting and approval of the warrants. Are you prepared?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I would like to move to accept the warrants as written.
Oh, second that.
Oops.
Oh, not yet. No, sorry. Okay, second that.
Okay.
We need to hear them all first.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought we reviewed those already. Okay.
So week 6/18/24 payroll was $7,893.03. Week 6/23/24 was payroll $10,681.35. Expense warrant number 2423, $36,000. $36,486.43. Expense warrant number 2423B was $200.67. Expense warrant number 2423A was $4,569.95 for a total of $59,831.43.
Now I can second
Okay. Is there any discussion, Tara, anything we should know about?
We had more gravel from Zaluzny, over $5,000, almost $6,000. Anthony Baldwin helped Danny with some tree removal, that was $6,600. We're gonna talk about the IT consultant for $1,335.65. There's the library sign that we already discussed, and the other failing electrical sign that needs quite a bit of work that we already discussed that Danny talked to us about. Then we had a late entry to cover a lister's travel expense for $267. That was one of those warrants. So that's
Yes.
pretty much it.
Okay. Any further discussion about these? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you. All right, folks, then we'll move on to the part of the meeting where we address old business. This is business that's come before the select board prior, but we're going to be looking at it now this evening for potential action. The first item is it's an update really about policy review.
Right.
And the next one up is personnel policy. And Chip, do you have anything you want to advise us about?
Well, I was talking to Erica about it. I think the personnel policy, I mean, we can certainly come up and I don't want to use the word rewrite, it's more of an update, these things don't need to be rewritten, they're updates. And that's, I think, a critical distinction, but something, as important as the personnel policy, I think is gonna need a legal review. Just because this is a business, a $2 million plus business, so, we can certainly rewrite, we can certainly update it, but, I would want to be able to forward that to somebody to officially look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, do you imagine we might have it, at least, potential changes or potential updates ready at the next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I've also got the reserve fund one ready to go as well. So
Okay.
that was close to somewhere along the date line, but yeah.
Yes.
So
Maybe we can
That
announce
would
it
bring us
next time.
into line with the schedule.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah,
Great,
I
okay.
just want to say that the personnel policy was updated very majorly just about a year ago.
Right.
In January of 2023, and it's been updated twice, I think, since then to respond to specific things that came up.
right.
So,
Yeah, it strikes me of all of our policies, it's the one that needs consistent look.
Yes.
Because things are constantly changing in the world around us.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah. Okay. Anything else anybody else wants to say about that? Thanks, Chip, for leading us through
Yeah.
that. Yeah. All right, we'll move on then to the elected auditor appointment. And so I'll turn this over to Veranda and Tara, the task force.
Okay, so Tara and I interviewed 3 different people for this position, and I wanted to put a motion on the floor, and after it's seconded, then Tara and I can talk in more detail about our process. Is that okay? Okay, so I'd like to move that we appoint Bob Tucker to replace Leslie Mallowin for the remainder of the term as town auditor.
And I'll second that.
All right.
And then I will follow up by saying that, yes, Brenda and I interviewed 3 candidates, and all applicants were asked the same questions. So the 3 applicants were Bob Tucker, Lindsay Mitchell, and Tammy Sargent. All applicants have showed great qualities, including inclination to help the town, effective communication, ambition, curiosity, and a desire to be a liaison and be able to try to explain numbers and financials to the public and the townspeople. One applicant had a quote, be a parlay to the town in simple language, tell the town what the numbers mean. Our recommendation is based on who has the most experience in auditing, accounting, and bookkeeping. Tammy Sargent has ambition, curiosity, and a great desire to learn about the finances of the town. She's on the finance committee now. Lindsay and Bob have more hands-on experience with accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, and audits. Lindsay Mitchell and Bob Tucker both have their own businesses in bookkeeping. However, Bob has actually been an auditor and has performed over 750,000 audits numerous times. And we feel that his extensive knowledge in auditing is a great addition to this position, and that is why we are recommending Bob Tucker.
750,000?
Numerous times.
Wait a minute, 750,000 different audits?
From the notes, unless it was 750,
I think
personal audits numerous times.
It was a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of
How about that? Let's leave it
Yeah, I
there.
don't remember that
On the
number.
notes, it said that 750,000, and maybe it was 750.
Oh,
But
maybe it
numerous
was,
times.
maybe it was about the
Over
the
9
numbers.
years.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any discussion here at the board? Any other questions we want to ask? I want to just acknowledge that thank the 3 candidates that all stepped forward, offering their services to
And
the
their
community
time.
and their time, and it's heartening. So it's great. Anything anybody else wants to ask or say? Okay, so there's been a motion and a second on the floor, and so I can take a vote then. All those in favor of appointing Bob Tucker to this position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, thank you very much. All right, then we'll move on to the asset management program plan. I want to just, Erica will lead us through this part of the meeting, I think, pretty much, but I want to just say that this, in combination with the approval of a program, a large program of dealing with all of the different assets in Guilford, we need to have a plan about what we're actually going to be doing for the next short while. So it's taken us a few months to pull it all together. And I will note here that when the 2015 capital management program was put in place, there wasn't a plan put in place for about 2 years. So we're a little ahead of the game here by doing this in 3 or 4 months. And so that feels good. But I think that what we have, the document in front of us here that we have, and Erica has it on the screen here. I think that the thing to say here is that we don't need to approve this so much, because we're approving project by project what goes into this plan. What this plan's doing is just laying out the timelines of all of these things as we're going along. And we'll be able to see over the next few years, as you can start to see up here right now, over the next 5 years, how things are anticipated to fall into place. It's heat mapped, so right now you can't really see the colors there, but the pinkish red are the things we'll be taking care of now. The yellow ones are a little bit further out, and the green at the bottom, that doesn't really look green to me, but those are even further out.
That's the
Yeah,
projector.
yeah,
Maybe I should add that to the list.
yeah.
New projector.
Yeah, new projector. All right, so I just want to, do you have anything else you want to add about this? Why don't you walk
Yeah,
us through
so
it?
this document is a compilation of many years of work on asset management and capital improvement plans and projects, and information from people who know all the stuff the best. Danny provided the information about the bridges and culverts. As you can see, this is not a full inventory with, we've got a lot of different culverts and bridges, and all of those didn't make it on this list. This list will be constantly updated, and I can post it to the website periodically, probably not every time it's updated, but so I want to just go through one project. So under the category, the infrastructure category, culverts, the first thing up is the Slate Rock Road culvert. It's a big culvert. We've gotten 2 grants this year to replace this culvert, and it's going to be a very big job. So that is here in the estimated project cost. That estimate is fairly close because we've been thinking about it, and we have 1 grant for engineering for $200,000, and the other grant is $360,000. We don't know the exact cost will be, but when you go, I only did it for this one example, but this title will link to its project worksheet, so you can see the sources of funds, grants, and the expenses. And as this project moves forward, we will be filling this out and populating it until it's done. And then we'll have a new column here with not estimated project cost, but final project cost. And it will just be rolling for 5 years, so eventually 2025 will smoosh over, and 2030 will come up.
I want to just jump in here and say that so the way that one of the ways I see this working is that the column 2025 there will be the column that will be reported on in the next town meeting about what we actually accomplished at a given time. So this document is anticipating as well as providing the structure for us to be able to report on what's the work that we actually did. And as we're constantly clicking back and forth to project sheets, every one of those on the far left side will have a link to a project sheet. We'll be able to pull that information together for anyone in the community at any time, so we can be very clear about or as clear as we can be about what we're doing. Okay.
So this will be accessible to anyone in the community at any time.
I think what Eric is thinking of, we don't know yet, but probably what she said was that she would put it up on the website because it will need to be constantly updated per our decisions. And
Can't it be a live document that she can constantly update instead of having people come in and want to ask questions and making her, taking from her duties? Can it be a live document on the website that's constantly changing?
Well, it is a live document, but to get it on the website, I have to make it not live and then upload it. I don't think I can put a spreadsheet that then zaps the information up to the website. It has to.
Like with Google Docs, we can constantly change that and have parameters on who
Sees it. I suppose
Yes.
I could make the Google Doc public with some security
Because if people want to ask,
thinking about.
they go to the website and they're like, what is this? And then they're like, I need to talk to Erica. Like that could be 10 hours a week.
This is a Google Doc, so I will check with our IT person to make sure that it's okay to put something like this. It'll probably be a second copy, so that seems.
But that would save,
doable.
time. And then if people don't understand it, they can ask a question. Instead of having to have a meeting with you to take away from your other duties, to ask a question about something that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things on here that will be moving around.
Right.
And, Danny said he would like to do some crack sealing on Plattsburgh Road.
And people need to
Maybe it'll happen
understand that.
Maybe it will happen next year.
But as long as they have, the public has access, I think it'll eliminate time wasted.
Good idea.
Well, the project management sheets seem to show in a very simple way, at least periodically, where, how far along the project is. So if the project management sheets are in some way available, then that would show in a simple form, how the project is coming along.
Right, but if it's linked to that and someone can click on it and see it, they don't have to come in and have somebody print out
Right,
a
no, I mean, I think
project
it's,
management sheet and take 5
Right.
minutes of someone's time.
no, I think it's great to have people save time.
Seems potentially possible.
Let's see.
I'm a little concerned about the workload for Erica to do that. I mean,
Well, she's gonna do it anyway.
It's-
She's going to be
but
updating
what
it
I'm hearing
anyway.
is it's not necessarily live. You have to kind of
Well, right, I
Live it.
I wouldn't put the sheet that I work off of on the website for everybody to access. It would have to be a copy at least for security reasons.
So it sounds to me like we're gonna
But
need a
it's
little,
semi-updated.
But it's
one.
it's possible.
yeah, or maybe there would be a schedule by which things are updated,
Right.
and once a month or something like that.
Exactly.
It would be
Yeah, that's
updated.
certainly,
I mean, there may be some projects you're not working on for a year or that you don't touch, right? There's no need to constantly reload that, right? It's just the active
So what
ones.
I have it all, it's one spreadsheet now
Right.
with the first project worksheet I've loaded onto it is a tab. So it's my thought that all the project worksheets can live on this document, which would actually help me a lot because now they're all just named strange like bridge names and road names and stuff in the highway folder. So
But like you said, Michael,
this is a centralized place for them.
one project may not have a document yet because it's
Too far out.
scheduled
Too
into,
far out.
yeah,
For
into
example, the
2 years.
Heinsberg wreath, the things you just
It's
talked about,
just a
right,
concept,
yeah, that might not make it, okay.
Not right now, but
Right.
eventually.
Eventually, right.
But you see, but I think we're getting at the same ideas here, that what this is like a structure that will allow us to have everything in one place. So that Erica can work on it from a management point of view, but then we can also see it from a reportage and a visioning point of view as well. And then we want to make that available to the public. So figuring out how to do all of that in a way that is okay from a share point of view and everything, we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, toward both clarity and having the technology consistent to be able to present all of this.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that I will just add here is that the design, one of the design features that I like about this is that it is flexible, and that may scare people in the community that may think, well, the select board is going to change things around. No, we're going to be constantly updating it to make it more transparent and clearer. One of the things of the previous capital plan was it was written, and for the first couple years of the 5-year plan, you could look at it reliably, but then it totally wasn't reliable after that because the plan didn't make any sense very quickly and it wasn't updated in a regular way. This will allow us to.
Oh, I see, that's a good point. You can look years down the road if you want to. Yeah, it's good. It's like a roadmap.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as well as,
Can we see the project sheet one more time? Is that, do you foresee potential, is that kind of the structure we'll work with, or?
Yeah, for these project worksheets, yep, this is,
That's kind of a fully developed one.
yes, so far, I mean, the work hasn't started yet.
Mhm.
And no bills have come in, so these things get populated and finalized when bills and payments get completed. So this is probably gonna be a 3-year project, but it'll have everything on
That's
it.
great.
So as each invoice comes in, does that get added as a single line item for
Yeah.
people to see?
so it's a tracking tool for the financial reporting as well as the project
Yeah,
report.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool, it's a
Do
lot of
other
work.
towns have a system like this, or are you just inventing it as we go along?
I did not invent this, no. I don't know. I think Bonnie originally came up with
Uh-huh.
the project. Ellie, am I right about that? The project worksheet was a Bonnie brainchild, so she must have seen it
I don't know how much money you do.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Sheila worked on it just for this purpose, for reporting and tracking, multiple sources of funds, grants and reserve funds and other stuff. It's all right here.
Yeah. So one of the big stories that we just passed in the last 3 or 4 years didn't have the advantage of having this kind of tracking system. So it's been very difficult for us to try to go backward and sort of straighten things out and get clear. It's really almost impossible to get clear. This will help us to get clear, is what we hope, and stay clear. Okay, is there any other question, any other comments about this?
Well, just thanks, for everybody who worked on this to get it in place.
We have more to do, and we will, but yeah, it's good, I think it's a good situation. All right, folks, we'll move on to new business. Moving forward still, we need to, the first order of business is to consider authorizing the execution of a non-employee agreement with the IT consultant that we've used for the last few years. So this, by our procurement policy, this is very straightforward. This is a person who shows extreme specialty, IT. There's not a need to go out and offer to rebid. It's not a very high dollar contract, and so it fits nicely, but the select board just needs to authorize it so we can move forward with it.
And this is something that he and we need to reauthorize annually for insurance purposes, right, Ellie?
Mhm.
For passives.
So I will move that we authorize this non-employment agreement with John Minkle, who's our IT consultant.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thanks,
Yeah, I
Chair.
looked at all the stuff she said earlier. It was good.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion, any questions?
How long has he been working with the town?
I believe he started in early 2023.
I read that you said that this is an 8-month bill, so is it broke up monthly? So it's 1,335.65.
Yeah, and that's since last November. He just keeps track of things he does, and
Okay.
he's very accessible. He can do almost anything we need him to do remotely, so that's wonderful. And sometimes he comes, I think he came last week to set up the new computer and new monitors and get 2 people set up on one computer. So
It's kind of like as needed IT guy. Got it.
yes, it's great.
Mhm.
I really enjoy working with him.
Great. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of authorizing this, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, we'll move ahead then to the next item on the agenda, which is we have the sad task of dealing with the highway foreman search. And so we just need to begin that process. And so so we have a job description that's been put together for the highway commissioner, and we need to our action this evening, if there is any that we'll choose to take, would be to authorize Erica to begin the process of advertising this, and so we can start collecting applications. So I don't know if there are any questions that anybody has about the search process. It will start by Erica placing ads, and then there will come an interview period at some point, but we'll leave I don't know if is there a deadline on this? I've forgotten.
We can, this is.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it's just a draft.
Yeah.
I think that one of the new laws that's coming from the state of Vermont is that all job announcements, postings have to have the salary range listed on them. No longer can they say commensurate with whatever.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a thing of the past.
There's no requirement to pay within that range that you've published, but
It's just that we
It's
have
just-
to,
yeah.
we have to say, so
it
let's
has to
put
be in
it,
the app.
why don't we just put up a nice, healthy, no.
I think it's really smart to have it road foreman / highway commissioner, because in different towns, they're labeled different things, therefore it covers our bases.
Danny is both of these things. The highway commissioner is appointed annually, and I asked Danny what the difference is, and he says, I just do it.
Some towns appoint one of the select boards as the
Right.
road commissioner. Some towns will create another position that they have somebody come in and do it, but I was always the both.
Yeah,
Right.
Road
and
foreman
it's
and
very important to Dan
road
to have this person be a working road foreman.
As opposed to an
With a
office, a
CDL.
highway commissioner could be an in-office kind of person or something.
Potentially.
It should be whoever takes my place should be a working commissioner road foreman.
Okay.
So we're assuming that you helped to create this job description.
Erica pulled it up from another town. We went through it together. I just made a few suggestions. Everything's pretty basic what I do on that job description there, so.
So we're not necessarily approving this job description,
No.
that's not our job. Our job is to just authorize Erica to begin the process. So she'll make the best job description that she possibly can, working with our road foreman. And then we're saying the process is moving forward now. So,
Perfect.
yeah. Would anyone like to make a motion to authorize Erica?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Michael. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chip. All right, any further discussion?
Well, we can have grief counselors
Yes.
and withdrawal experts.
I'm just interested to know, are we considering a hiring committee or,
Good line.
Yeah.
and at what point would it be appropriate to start assembling that, if that's the path we choose?
I think with that, we could probably need to, we haven't done it now, but yes, we need to get the process, how we're actually gonna address these with the we're going, but this will be out for probably a month, I would
Yeah,
think.
give it a few, give it.
Is there a deadline
Meeting or
for
two.
We can
applicants?
put one on it.
Yeah.
You know.
And how will you
Okay.
determine the salary range? Ask Danny.
Ask Danny, yeah.
I think there's also, VLCT has a whole
Yeah, they
list
do.
of, we can compare to other towns
Yeah.
and see what acceptable rates are.
Can we get Danny to sit in on the interview process? Because that was a good question that
Yeah.
Bex.
I also was wondering that.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, can we get you to sit in on the interview process once the
Yeah.
highway? Okay, good,
I'll be
thanks.
around.
Why don't we?
I think that's a yes.
Pretty- Maybe,
Not
Sounded,
during hunting season.
right, sounded like an emphatic yes to me.
okay. Well, so along with this, with the job of authorizing and getting this out, then we'll ask, maybe we won't make it part of the motion, but we'll assume for now that the next job for Erica would be to
Get it on.
run the process and develop a process and run it, so that we'll all be part of it.
And I'd be interested in being on that committee for
Right.
hiring.
Yeah, I
committee
think
for
probably a
this.
lot of us are gonna be interested in that, maybe a full select board committee. We'll see. Okay, so authorizing Erica, if you're in favor of that, let's have an aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you very kindly.
That your already heavy schedule.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Good lord.
Getting heavier.
Yeah, it's getting heavier. We're just piling it on. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
The,
Spin another plate in the air.
We're gonna skip the consideration of late filing fee. We deleted it at the beginning of the meeting. Now we're going to look at the final bit of new business, which is to ratify the hiring of 2 office assistants. Erica.
Okay, so I am happy
But,
to.
you know what, I'm just gonna put it, I'm gonna just say, I move that we
Yeah, I
ratify
think
this,
so,
and then
too.
we'll talk about it, okay? So I'm gonna move that we ratify the hiring of these 2 office
I will
assistants.
second that.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. So by that, just to be clear, ratifying simply means that the select board is giving its approval to an action that's already taken.
Right.
And we're just making it,
Official.
making it official. Erica.
So Ellie and I have each hired an assistant. We had some really good candidates, and one was very, very skilled in the financial stuff that needed to be done. She has worked a few days already, maybe 3 or 4 already. And she's picking it up really well. And we're really happy to have Marlene Szymanski join us as assistant treasurer. And my assistant is named Uriel Nahara, and he is a very creative person and a very administratively minded person, and he's just working out really well too. He picks things up very easily. I had him do some updates on things that I have been neglecting to put on the website, minutes that were approved that there were still draft minutes on the site. They're not super different, but it's nice to have the final minutes up there. So that was one of his first jobs, and he's just really great spirit in the office, both of them. So I'm very pleased.
All right, good, thank you. Any discussion from the board? Any questions? I think this is a huzzah moment. for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's way overdue.
Yeah.
Finally.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we ratify this hiring. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, thank you very kindly.
Oh, I should mention that they're each 10 hours a week, so between the 2 of them, they are doing the full 20-hour-a-week position. I just split it into 2 people.
Okay, folks, we'll move on. There's no other business that I'm aware of this evening, so we'll move right into public comment. We'll set aside some moments here if there's anything anybody would like to say. I see Tammy's hand.
Hi, Tammy Sargent, Creamery Road. At the last select board meeting, I made it very clear that the new policy not allowing us to speak at things that you guys are voting on was a bad idea. Tonight is a prime example. You guys voted on a few different things that you received no input from anyone that's here tonight. One of the things you voted on was the new auditor role. So there's incompatible offices for the auditor, and I'm reading this right out of the VLCT handbook that I gave you guys. Page 6, if you want to follow along. Incompatible offices, because the elected auditor acts as a watchdog over accounts of the other elected officials, State law prohibits the auditor and their spouse from holding certain additional town office. Then it goes on to say 17 V.S.A. 2647A3 states that an auditor may not serve as a library trustee. The auditor that you guys just voted in is married to the library trustee, Laura Lawson Tucker. He should not have been voted in as auditor. I will take my name out of the hat, and Lindsay is more than qualified, and I don't know how long you have to stretch this out, but again, prime example of this new policy of not allowing us to speak is awful for us as people attending these meetings, but it's also causing more work for you guys now. Because legit, you cannot allow Bob Tucker to be the new auditor.
Because of a conflict of interest?
Yes, and
Do
it's
you
a
think
state
that
law.
You do not think that a conflict of interest is somebody that lives with somebody that's suing the select board? Because that is a clear, perceived, and real conflict of interest.
That is less of a conflict of interest than having two people very tight in the town library where for almost 2 years I kept struggling trying to get in the town report the amount of money that we spent on all the drawings and all the things that took place at the library. Never happened. So now with two of them tight with the library, another example, you guys voted to pay for this
No,
painting.
Tammy, sorry, we're not gonna talk.
I have 10 minutes, but
That's
I'm
it,
allowed
that's
to
it.
use 10 or however many minutes
Yes,
you've
that's true.
allotted
Say
me.
whatever you
You
like.
have all of these topics you cover. That is not an unforeseen expense for the library sign unless somebody smashed into it with a car. So unless the thing got destroyed because of an accident, how is that unforeseen? The same way we need a new sign out here at the town office. These aren't some crazy thing that came out of nowhere. But no, Lindsay is nowhere near the conflict of interest that Bob Tucker is, because in state statute, it doesn't say in there anywhere, if someone is suing the town, then their spouse can't be eligible for something. The role we're asking her to do, she's not hiding anything. She's not gonna be able to give Jason Heron's lawsuit.
But it could be perceived. It could be, if it's a real or perceived conflict of interest, which
How could that
if
be?
she's an auditor and she has financial information and Jason Heron is suing the select board and the town, she's qualified. I feel that Bob's more qualified, and we didn't want to,
But
have
by
that be
state
an issue.
statute,
So there's
he's
two
not
conflict of
qualified. By state statute, he's off the table. That leaves Lindsay and myself. So I'll put my name back in the hat if you don't want Lindsay to do it. I mean, you said she's more qualified. I believe she is. Do I think I will dive into stuff a little closer? Yes, I do. Not against Lindsay. I'm not saying I'd dive in more than Lindsay would, but this is, the new policy is just, it's awful. You can have it.
All right, anybody else have a comment? Yeah. Identify yourself too.
Okay, Dolores Clark up on Cemetery Hill. I am, I don't know how to phrase this, but Tammy comes to the meetings, she pours over the budget, she's conscientious, she may not have been an auditor, but I mean, is Kathy Wilkin is she like a bookkeeper? Is Mr. Belagore a bookkeeper? Was the woman that was voted in a bookkeeper? So Tammy, there's always this thing about we want more volunteers, we want, participation from the town. Tammy participates in these meetings. And she volunteered. So there were 2 volunteers for the longest time, and then you guys went out and searched for somebody else because you obviously, Bob Tucker didn't come to you. So my point is that you're like, we want more volunteers, so you had a volunteer right off quick. Tammy is a taxpayer, she's a business person, and she's sharp as a tack. And I don't know why originally you didn't just say, you know what, we have somebody that really wants to do it. Why not do it? Or, you know, the guy, the second runner-up, why not ask him? And another thing is this town, seeing as we have to bunch everything together, the capital improvement plan was started in 2015, and it was this, and it seems as though there's more energy going into putting up these spreadsheets, which is all well and good, but my old sore thumb of the library, so from 2015, nothing has been done, but you got a damn good spreadsheet, you know? And meanwhile, these projects haven't been done. And that's, I think, all I can think of.
Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Offer up? Steve?
Steve, on Unified Road, was the original position for the town assistant to be one person shared, but now it's two people?
Yeah.
And is it the same number of hours?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Anything else from the community? Huh?
I've got something I'd like to say.
Okay.
I think, I mean, it might just be a simple interpretation, but the way that she's outlined it here, highlighted, it says state law prohibits the auditor and their spouse from holding certain additional town offices, right? That's point number one. The Vermont statute states that an auditor may not serve as a library trustee. So that doesn't mean you can't be married to someone who's a library trustee. That means that if my wife was a library trustee, I could still be the auditor. If I was a library trustee, I could not be the auditor. And Lori, if she was a library trustee, she could not be an auditor. But that doesn't mean you can't have an auditor and a library trustee sharing the breakfast table.
Yeah, the
That's
chart
the
of
way I
Inland
read
Capital
that.
Offices is on our website.
Yeah.
That's not there.
It's not, so that's how I see it.
I have it right there if you want to read it on the,
And she's got it
State
right there,
statutes.
right? Well, you just handed me that, right?
yeah, this is the write-up from the VLCT.
Well, that's all I need.
And what I'm saying is I've got state statutes
Well, what is
right
that?
here.
That you were
That's,
quoting from.
this
Isn't that
is the actual statute, but you're splitting
Damn it.
hairs.
And you're not?
I am
Here's
not.
the station,
I am-
17 V.S.A.
There you go.
2647A3 states that an auditor may not
that's-
serve as a library trustee. That's the state statute. Why do I have to look at it on your phone?
What,
You
what
just
I'm trying,
highlighted it here in the book.
yeah, what I'm trying to tell you is it tells you spouses also. I'm not making it up.
You know what
It's
I'm
under
trying to say?
state statute is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not,
It doesn't
And
say
what-
you can't
and what-
be married to a library trustee. It just says a trustee cannot
Okay,
be
so
an
we're-
auditor, correct?
okay, no, not
Okay,
correct.
so that's why we
Right.
have the interpretation difference. If you're gonna bring the audit, if you're gonna bring the book in with the actual quote and highlight it,
Take
bring
it-
the whole thing.
Take
I
a
don't
look
need
it
it.
up.
I just did, and you
Yeah.
just handed it to me, and it's wrong.
And no,
An auditor shall not be the spouse of or assistant to or any of the following officers: town clerk, town treasurer, select person, trustee of the public funds, town manager, water commissioner, sewer system commissioner, sewer disposal commissioner, cemetery commissioner, first constable, road commissioner, collector of current or delinquent taxes, or town district or district school director.
Correct.
read the next sentence. Nor shall a spouse of or any person assisting any of these officers. I don't know how much clearer I can make it. Are you on the state statutes website?
I am.
The very next sentence where you just stopped says, nor shall a spouse of or any person assisting any of these offices in the discharge of official duties be eligible to hold office as an auditor.
Which
Right,
doesn't
which
mean
says-
that she's, Laura is
I'm
the
not making
spouse,
this up.
and Laura cannot be the auditor. That's how that reads.
Laura can't be an auditor.
Because she's the spouse.
consider this, I think, a
Yeah,
little bit more.
probably we should get carefully, I mean, I think we did this already, so I think we believe we're moving in good faith here. And so I think that we'll hold that and then get to it a little bit later.
There's not another sentence after.
Yeah. So we can, all right, thanks. Anything else anybody wants to say here? All right. Okay, folks, I think then we shall move on to a correspondence. And I will just outline that we did receive a correspondence this in the last 2 weeks. And the correspondence is about one of the laws that the correspondence is about recording all meetings and making them available on the website. And we have a law coming down from the state government that says exactly the same thing. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing exactly what this person asked us, recommended that we do. Yeah.
And maybe we should have some kind of training for commission chairs or just, I mean, for instance, our cemetery commission is a working commission where during our meetings, we're straightening gravestones. And I don't know how we would record that meeting, but perhaps the business part of it could be on audio and now to work on the gravestones.
I think we're waiting for, I'm sure Eric's asking just those kind of questions to the LCT, and we'll wait on those. So I just want to let the community know that there's a correspondence about the very same recommendations that the state is making now as a law. So the stars are moving in alignment here. All right, folks, now we'll move into executive session. The select board needs to move into executive session pursuant to 1 V.S.A. section 313A 1B to discuss labor relations agreements with employees. So we'll move into executive session. We need.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
No,
Linda, you can get
Hey,
me
someone-
here,
Just a
right
second.
home,
But-
to back to my house.
We're still right. It's a way.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
so
that.
we're done. Yeah, we're.
Is this how they do things in London?
Look,
We don't have meetings at this time.
So,
There is no subject to move.
we can't, we're not going to address it. So, if you want to, feel free. We have a quorum here, we'll go ahead and move into executive session. So, I move that we move into executive session to discuss labor relations agreements with employees per 1 V.S.A. 313. And I would move first that premature knowledge and discussions could potentially put the town or the person involved, or a person involved, at significant disadvantage. I need a second for that. Second, thank you, Michael. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Any noes, any abstentions? All right, then we're going to move into executive session. I will further move to enter into executive session at 8:08
We'll have the strawberries when I
to
get home.
discuss labor relations
Oh, sorry.
agreements with employees per 1 V.S.A. Yes, I'm not done yet. Per V.S.A. section 313A1B, inviting Erica Elder to participate.
And what about
Second for,
Ellie?
and Ellie Mayan as well. May I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those, anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? I just abstained without
I
realizing.
have to.
Okay. All right, so now there will be we have two motions outcoming. It's 8:57. We've come out of executive session. We have two motions to make. The first motion is that, I will make it, that the select board approves, per the budget of fiscal year 24-25, approves a 3% raise for all staff as we discussed in for those staff members that, as we discussed in the meeting.
second
All
that.
right?
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion?
No, I think it's great.
Me too. They throw well
All right.
served.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right. And the second motion that we need to make is to, that the select board approves the lowering of the hours requirement for disability insurance from 35 to 30, which will have no effect on the insurance premium.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Michael. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, now, I'm sorry, patience, I have to look at, do you see how much work we got done in our
Could we
last
know.
just say, you know, like all of the things, I mean, do you have to go through it all?
we're supposed to read it into the minutes, I think.
I would be for the best.
Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
give me 1 minute. Yeah. We, at the June 10th meeting, we approved minutes of 5:31, emergency meeting. We approved minutes of 5:13, a regular meeting, and we approved minutes of 5:06, special meeting. We approved the warrants. We approved the Ruck-Up coin drop date. We approved rules of procedure policy update. The select board approved its own goals for fiscal year 24-25. The select board approved the change to the radar sign placements, the new radar signs that are coming. We approved the change in disposition of the delinquent tax penalty. We approved an online payment system setup. We ratified the appointment of Tara to the Auditor Task Force. We authorized procedure to sign checks between meetings. We authorized Chip to provisionally approve payments between meetings and with Veranda as the alternate. We authorized the Weatherhead Hollow paving RFP, and we authorized the Stage Road ditching RFP. That was a lot of work, folks.
Nice job.
In this meeting, we approved the minutes of the previous meeting, the 6:10 meeting. We approved two motions to use reserve funds to pay for two small bills because they were unforeseen expenses, unbudgeted and unforeseen. We approved the warrants. We elected an auditor for the open position. We
Did a lot of stuff.
we didn't do anything with asset management plan, I don't think. Did we?
There was
No action, okay. All right. We authorized the execution of a non-employee agreement for the IT consultant. We authorized Erica to begin the highway foreman search process. And we ratified the hiring of 2 office assistants. We voted to go into and out of executive session. Now there's one more thing.
We need her.
Yes.
Yeah, I made that motion.
All right, is there a second? Yes, to the motion.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Michael.
All right.
All right, is all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
And there's no discussion?
I know.
Aye.
Aye.
Hurrah!
And there are no no's.
And
there are no
thanks
abstentions.
for all of that patience.
Yes, thank you folks for staying on this long.
Thank you.
Thank you.